Hello. Today I'm going to teach you about the basics of the knitted roll. So, this is a knitted roll. I've got two of them here, this nice purple one and this greenish one. And what you need to know about every knitted roll is they're about 4 feet and they're all 203 rows. What I mean by rows is, going across this way. They've got 203 rows. And I'm going to teach you the basics about doing a project with a knitted roll. So, first things you need to do a project are scissors and a yarn needle, which is a really big sewing needle so you can fit yarn through it, and some yarn, more than this, and some knitted rolls, of course. And the first thing you need to learn how to do is how to thread your needle. So what you're going to do is you can take your yarn, take your needle, and you're going to bend the yarn over the needle like this. Alright, so you bend the yarn over the needle like this, then you slide the needle out, and you squish the folded edge of the yarn through the needle like this. Takes a bit of practice, and then you just pull it through until you only have one strand of yarn on the needle, like that. And then you're ready to go. And it's supposed to be, you're going to want to work with pieces of yarn that are 4 feet long, so this is a little bit too short, but it doesn't need to be 4 feet for the demonstration purposes. And as you can see, I've got different colored knitted rolls and different colored yarn, and normally you'd want them all to be the same color because otherwise your mistakes will really stand out, but I've got them all different colors so that you can see what you need to do better. You'll notice with the knitted rolls, there's a bunch of V's going across them, little, is this good? Yeah. Little tiny V's going across. And that's what you're going to use to sew. You're going to use the V's on the edge to sew. So when you do start sewing, you're going to use this row of V's on the edge like that. And that's the same with every project. You'd never sew the ones in the middle. You normally will be sewing 2 knitted rolls together like this. So then when they're done, they would stick together and they'd lay flat like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your knitted rolls, going to stick your needle through a V on the edge of one and a V on the edge of the other. Can they see that?
Yep.
Okay. And then you're going to pull it through until you have a tail about 4 inches long. This is the tail. It's the leftover yarn. And I'll go over what to do with the tail at the end so it's not sticking out of your project. So you go through like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find the next V's, the V's next to the ones you just pulled yarn through. And going to pull it through again, and you've just created your first stitch. That's what it should look like. It's not too loose, but it's not like super tight like this. It's just pull it till it's not loose anymore.
Okay.
Then you're going to repeat that. Go to the next V's, pull your yarn through, make more stitches. Okay, once you've got a row of stitches, then you're going to weave in the tails. You've got a tail at this end and a tail at this end. And you don't want them sticking out of your finished project. So what you're going to do is you're going to thread your needle with one of the tails. Now, like we showed how to thread your needle earlier.
No.
And then you're going to stick your needle through the stitches you just made, like this. You're going to want to go through the stitches closest to the tail. And then pull it through like this. There you go. And then you're going to take the leftover yarn on the tail and just cut it right off. And you don't need that, you can throw that away. And there you go. That's the way to weave in the tail, and then you do the same thing on the other side. And let's say I ran out of yarn. let's say this was too short to make another stitch with, so I ran out of yarn. I need to continue this row. Then you would weave in the tail here, just like I showed you how, and you would start again with a new piece of yarn in the next 2 stitches, and just keep going the same way I showed you. So you'd have a tail here that you would have to weave in at the end, and you just keep going. And that's how to do basic sewing. And sometimes, oh, this is what it looks like on the other side. So, you know. Now, sometimes, for some projects, you're going to have to sew together 2 ends of a knitted roll. And what I mean by 2 ends is, just a second, I'm going to thread my needle. There we go. Is this right here. This is an end, and this is an end, and these are the short ends. And their stitches are tiny and very tight. You see the V's at the top here. And sometimes, you know, if you want your knitted roll to be longer, like they're 4 feet, so if you want to have an 8-foot knitted roll, you would have to attach them together at the short ends like this. So the way to do that, you would do it the exact same as, you know, the sewing I just showed you, except you would stick your needle into one of those little stitches at the top, like this. So you pull it through, and then, let's see, say you want to sew it together this way, so then you go through another V on the other side, on the other knitted roll, like this, so starting to look familiar. And then you go through the next V's in line, just a second here, okay, like this. You pull that through, see? It's the same way I showed you. You're just going through next V's, and then you weave in the tails the same way. You just go all the way around until all of the stitches are connected at the top. And every single knitted roll has 22 of these little V's at the top, so you can sew them together without any gaps, because every knitted roll has 22 little stitches at the top there. Alrighty, thanks for joining us for the basics, y'all.